This is the thing with breathwork. Like we could talk about many. Why is it healthy for the physical health? What happens on a science level with the nervous system? How can I let go of stress? Um, these are all important things, but one thing I think we're both excited about and which create real life changes in situations like romantic relationships is this embodiment to have more empathy, more resilience, and to stay with oneself when I'm triggered. Because that's the hardest thing to do. Often people read books and podcasts and they, on a rational level, understand things. But when the trigger comes up, meaning I feel in my body the urgency that I want to say something now because it hit me or hurt me, and I want to speak to it with an urgency, that's for me now the sign, now I need to take a step back and not say something exactly when I want to say something the most. And what you said before about you feeling free when you're expressing your feelings, it's another thing I had to learn is if I'm with a person and they express their emotions to me or how they feel, maybe about something I did, even though I strongly disagree and maybe think it's a misunderstanding, I learned the worst thing I can do is shoot back and telling them that their feelings are wrong because the feelings are there. No matter if I agree or not, they are there. And if you tell somebody you shouldn't feel that way, it's a statement that makes no sense because they are feeling that way in this moment.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
In that moment, it is true, and you kind of like say, I want this moment to be different to what it is. Yeah, but it's that just suffering.
Yeah.
In the end, right? Because the truth is what the truth is, and there is actually no like absolute truth, but the truth for the person is I feel this way in that moment.
Yeah.
And then allow them to have that feeling and allow myself to have this feeling, and then I think that is what becomes available through breathwork. What is interesting is for me I would be interesting to hear your view on it. In a certain way, for me, breathwork has enabled that on 2 dimensions. The one dimension is so my nervous system is better regulated, so I can stay centered and grounded while stuff comes up. And I was able to develop a relationship to what comes up. And I was not relating from. So before emotion comes, I was relating from the emotion that creates, trauma.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm not getting maybe, as triggered. I don't become my emotion, but I can remain this and have a relationship to it.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing that breathwork opened for me, and I deepened it through meditation, but it was the insight that I am not my emotions, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not even that human form. I'm something, whatever. Some people might call it God, I don't. And the first part is something that helps me in daily life. The other part is something that is more comes through a moment of like insight and silence and stuff. But somehow the second part is growing inside of me and I can connect to it easier. And opens this interesting investigation of, okay, who am I really? If I'm not my thoughts and not my emotions, but what is what I used to believe for most of my life? Yeah, what the fuck am I? And there's no answer from my point of view. There's no answer that we can actually speak about. It's an experience.
Yeah.
But these are the 2 main things that have opened for me through regular breathwork practice. How's it for you?
Yeah. I feel like on this really spiritual path, also through your meditation and Zen, you have actually had more experiences than I had. I definitely know what you mean. I had this experience in Bali now with Edward as well, where kind of everything that I knew that I have learned kind of dissolved in this moment. And there was just, this state of being and all my thoughts, my conditioning, that was just gone. And I was like, oh, maybe most of the things I thought to be true are bullshit because right now in this moment, I don't think about any of this and I feel very complete and connected to everything. So, but this is a side of me that I haven't been going as deep into. Also, the last 12 months were super busy and I'm still also trying to relate everything I learned to my clients and people who are struggling in real life. So the first part, I would say at the moment, is more present for me. This understanding of that my emotions, my triggers, my thoughts come from somewhere, and that they actually don't. I loved how you said that. They don't. When something was triggering my ego in the past, I became my ego in this moment, and that was my whole existence, and I acted from that.
Yeah.
And now I still feel it, but it's like I'm still the CEO on the table inside of me, and these parts maybe sit at the table and they complain or give me insights, and I talk to them, but most of the time they don't take the boss seat. It can still happen if it's a really big trigger, but and I want to complete what I said before, because how that translates, for example, in a really beautiful thing I'm experiencing now with the person I'm dating, is to really in real time try everything that I have learned to apply in creating this connection with her. And she has had a really tough time of in her life where she was hurt and shamed and took way too much onto herself. And it was a very interesting moment. And that was an embodiment of what I learned with Breathwork. She was sharing. She was very emotional. She was overwhelmed. She had very low capacity, and she was sharing something vulnerable, which is anyways really difficult for her, and which she hasn't done with other men before because of the way they treated her. So I was really in an empathetic state listening. It was via text because we're in different countries now. And then within this whole sharing, she said something that triggered me. And I noticed how from my empathy inside of my body, I shifted to urgency to say that I didn't like what she just said, because it was actually something that is a boundary for me and that is important to discuss for me in order to know if this relationship can last. So it was quite a important thing. So now, version of me 5 years ago would have not been able to contain that in that moment and would have said it right away. But I understood in real time, she has no capacity now. If I do that, she feels like she gets again not, she's not again not received in what she's sharing. So she would shut down. She would have no capacity to actually listen to what I have to say in this particular moment. She would probably shoot back, and both of us feel misunderstood. It creates conflict. Maybe we say things we don't mean. Both are shutting down. Connection is lost.
Yeah.
What I did instead was keeping in empathy, knowing she might just be a misunderstanding, knowing I have to bring it up later. I will. Listening to her, receiving her, seeing how much she appreciated it and softened. And then the next day, I communicated it also not in a judgmental way, but what came up and what happened to her was, because I was showing up for her the day before, there was such a willingness to listen and to hear me. Also, deep respect towards me, knowing it triggered me and I didn't say it in that moment. And that she understood I have the capacity to do that, which gave her what she shared after, so much more trust in future conflicts, and that the conflict will not be the problem because we're able to navigate it. And then I also feel heard. It was a misunderstanding. And what happened in the end was, instead of having a huge conflict and coldness and disconnection, we actually came a layer deeper and closer to each other, knowing each other better, knowing better how to handle each other. And this have been absolutely possible for me to bring me fast.
I see. So, yeah. Nice. Big sharing. Yeah. And I think that is not only romantic relating, right? This is in all relationships. I just noticed that with my co-founder now. I have so many stories around how I have to be in order to kind of like meet his energy and like be even like of value in our venture. And yeah, it's the ability to then speak to what is true. For example, okay, I am quite low energy right now and I can't do what we were thinking we would be doing. And then being met in that and being received in it, that enables me to be free in also that business relationships. Yeah. And I think yeah, you just mentioned something. Maybe just quickly spend 5 minutes on this. I can speak about, or like two people can actually speak about almost anything if I'm regulated and feeling safe and secure and yeah, just being well regulated in the moment. And if I'm triggered and my nervous system is on fire, then I just create drama and conflict, right? And that if I'm able to tune a bit to the nervous system of my partner, no matter what partner, I know when to communicate my whatever I need and when to just hold space and listen. Right?
100%. That was the example that I said before. It could have been also completely different.
Yeah.
Based on what you just say. If she would have shared something and she was not emotional, it was just a sharing, but I noticed, and within that sharing, something triggered me. And I see she's not triggered, then I bring it up right away.
Yeah.
Because I see she has capacity for it. And actually, for me, it's now important to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
And also, I learned not opening up any big topic when I know in 20 minutes I have a meeting. Or so, and then you sitting at the meeting and there's like this big thing that is open. And yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm.
And also about, like, Pete was talking a lot about that in EOS, about love and safety, that every person wants to feel safe and be loved. And from my experience now, for real deep love to emerge for me personally, I at first need safety.
Yeah.
Emotional safety, something that I didn't even know what it was in the past. I thought safety is not being beat up and feeling safe in my house or whatever. No, emotional safety. And then, only then, that allows me to open my heart.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
Yeah, 100% agree. Same here. I didn't know that this was something I needed. Yeah, safety, as you said, safety came for me from like, okay, there's no immediate threat of my life or whatever, but I feel safe. But I didn't even look at my parts of me that were, say, let's say, fear of rejection for having certain feelings and emotions. And knowing that, yeah, I can allow any feeling that it comes. Can be received in it. That's safety. And then from there, I can be free, and it was.
How do you feel now about your breathwork session? Because we always obviously talk about intentions, and some days it can be more just a physical release. Sometimes it's more emotional, sometimes more thought feeling, sometimes more spiritual. On what place are you at now, you would say?
I think what's really alive for me right now is this topic of freedom, authenticity, and this new co-founder business friendship that is evolving. And it's something that has been quite present for me for the past days. It's like, yeah, that part of me that want to like show up in a certain way and show up in a certain energy in order to do what we want to do, in order to also meet the expectations that I'm thinking Luis might have towards me.
Yeah.
And then sitting in, well, yeah, but actually I might not be able to meet that. I might not be able to meet these expectations. So I think what's there for me to bring to the session is the willingness to lean into the radical honesty around my capacity and my energy, and the willingness to speak to what's true, not yeah, I think that's quite present right now. It's like everything that you just spoke about, I know that, and sometimes I just fall into my old patterns of like, okay, no, I'm here, I need to perform, even though my system, my energy, nothing allows me to perform right now, but I need to, because then I will be respected and seen and accepted and meet expectations, receive love, and I want him to love me in a certain way. And then trusting that connection I have with him, that yeah, even if I show up as I am, still be love, and we can still co-create together and do great things. I think that's something that's quite present here for me right now. So, yeah, leaning into it and trusting that this, whatever it is that I am in a moment, is good and valuable and noble. And, from there I can, the interesting thing is that whenever I manage to then speak to what is there, my energy comes back right up.
Yeah.
I
I even noticed that also with you in those 2 years of working together. Sometimes there was something you said I couldn't pinpoint what it was, and then you realized it and you spoke to it, and then within 5 minutes you were like, okay, now all good.
Yeah. It's interesting how these prisons, that I put myself in, then drain my energy, and I just get into it, it opens up, and I feel free, and the energy is also there again. It's quite interesting, actually. So yeah, I think that's for me, being in Ibiza and being in, let's say, full on creation mode around where you want to go with Acta and the new company. That's something I notice. Trusting more fully the, this that what is there, and then leaning into speaking to it.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want to bring into the session.
Yeah. Sounds good. And another deep inhale to another And we go for another deep inhale.
Ich baute mein Leben auf gebrochenen Träumen, trug 1000 Gesichter, riss an den Nägeln.
share this is actually what can separate it from many other people who put content out, because that's more difficult.
100%. And that's exactly what I want to do, is just present it all.
Yeah.
And then own where I fucked up. Because I'm gonna fuck up.
Yeah.
I fuck up all the time. And everyone does. And that's actually then, that's the magic, to own that and remain in connection and contact with people. So yeah. Nice. Thank you so much. That was good. I feel much better than the morning. Total difference.
Cool.
Totally.